Yeah, that's right. As you point out, it's an asymmetrical model because what it does is it recognizes that prostitution is, well, that it is a form of men's violence against women and girls, and that it is driven by male demand. So if men weren't buying women and girls for sexual exploitation, then this industry, this thriving industry, would cease to exist. So that's where, as you said, it decriminalizes the women because it understands that these women are essentially victims of violence by the buyers, by the men, by this system. And so it says they're not actually committing any crime, they're not doing anything wrong, but recognizing that the men who drive it, that they are the ones who are perpetrating this violence against women and fueling the demand. And something else I think is really important about the Nordic model is helping women to exit the industry. I wonder if you know any more about that element that you could tell us.
Yeah, that's a really key element. Thanks for adding that. Yeah, I mean, that part of the model means a lot to me personally, because, in all my years in the industry, mostly what I heard was this mainstream on the left anyway, sex work ideology, where I was choosing this and it was all fine. And I never saw anything like an exit service, and I often wonder how my life could have changed if I had, if I'd seen the idea at all that oh, perhaps my life is such a mess because of this industry. Because in my mind, my life was such a mess because I just couldn't get it together and I was stupid and all this. It was all my personal responsibility. And the industry didn't have anything to do with it because the industry was just fine, nothing to see here. I was totally gaslit by the idea, denied my own trauma, like we were talking about earlier. Um, and yeah, it just would have made such a difference to me to see the opposite opinion expressed somewhere, and particularly on the left, that you know, this industry is maybe, not a very healthy industry to be in. And either way, here's someone who's going to help you exit if you want to, right? It doesn't have any consequence. Anyone who wants to stay in the industry, exit services doesn't affect them. But to make these services available to people who might just go, oh, okay, maybe I'll give it a go. And, it might not happen immediately, might be one of those seeds that gets planted. And then years later, you come back to it and think, oh, I remember there was that exit. So maybe I'll give that another try, because we know through my experience and research has shown also that women often take many years to successfully exit, even when they really want to exit. Um, yeah, that part of the Nordic model means a lot to me too.
Hmm. And also the point that I guess when prostitution is framed as sex work, so it's about work or labor, if prostitution is just a job like any other, then there's no need for exit programs, right? Like if you're a hairdresser, no one needs an exit program to get out of hairdressing. But that's one of the problems when you frame it as a form of labor rather than seeing it as abuse and exploitation, because then we're not talking about exit programs and ways, pathways for women to get out of the industry as well.
Yeah, and it's such a curious thing that anyone could seriously argue that hairdressing and the sex industry are remotely similar, and therefore, we don't need exit services for women in the sex industry. When I hear arguments like that, I just think common sense has completely left the building. I mean, I've been told by women, sadly, about my experience, because people do like to tell me about my experience sometimes, that, oh, I imagine being in the industry would be like working in Coles, another version of the hairdresser, And I just thought, have a think about what you just said. Have a think about what working in Coles involves, and have a think about what working in a brothel or massage parlor involves. And just have a think, I mean, seriously. Yeah, yeah. I think why that happens though is because this gets, it particularly happens in universities, is it all goes into some realm of theory, and we lose touch with the fact that there are real women in this industry. Um, and that sort of doesn't seem important anymore. It seems more important that the theory works, and it
Mm.
sort of loses sight of real women. Yeah.